Welcome back to the Fulfilled Female Entrepreneur Podcast. It's your host, Cassandra Rosa. I'm a certified intuitive life coach and healer and business coach. And the mission behind this podcast is to help you to create a fulfilling life and business. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Argie, and she's talking about all things yoga. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm so excited to have Argie on the podcast today. We connected on social media many years ago, and she posts amazing yoga content. And the second I thought, I want to have a yoga guest on, she was the first person to come to mind. So to start off, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. It's an honor and for choosing me. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So do you want to take a second just to introduce yourself?
Of course. Yes. So my name is Argie and I was actually born and raised in Mexico. I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. I lived 10 years in the US, specifically in Kentucky. And then around 9 years, I moved here to Canada, where hopefully we're settling. Looks like it. And I've been just embracing the journey of the traveling and getting to know different people and different cultures. And just even for my kids, I have two boys. They love it. They love just going into a new school or getting a different house. We've been moving quite a lot.
Yeah.
So they enjoy the process too. And I'm a chemical engineer as a profession.
Mhm.
And so a lot about science, but I would say I switched paths when I moved here to Canada. So I went into the more holistic area. I started with the yoga training, and I would say that was just the tip of the iceberg because if you keep digging, it's so much that you can go underneath. So it took me to what I am right now. I took the life coaching course as well. So if you're familiar with the Toronto area, I'm north of Toronto in Vaughan. So it was in one of the studios here in Kleinburg. It's a place, and I loved it. I just fell in love, and as I said, it was just the tip of it because and I think we keep evolving, we keep growing, and I'm just enjoying the journey.
Amazing. I love that introduction. And I love how when you moved to Canada, you created this fresh start in this holistic perspective. Because every time you talk about it and you share in our conversations and even on social media, you see how you light up talking about it, which is so beautiful to see. So with the podcast, it's called Fulfilled Female Entrepreneurs. So I always love to ask my guests what their perspective and understanding is about fulfillment. So what fulfillment means to you, and what's the most fulfilling part of being a yoga teacher and life coach?
Of course. Well, that's such a good question because I think to get that fulfillment, we do need to identify what it means to us. So for me, I would say it was definitely finding myself, what my true potential was.
Mm.
I was in a very different field before, and even though I was enjoying it and it was so good, and I felt, the you could develop formulas and everything. When I switch into this aspect about the more holistic and about the yoga, I think I was able to go inwards and really ask those questions. What is fulfilling me? What is bringing me the joy? What is inspiring me? What is moving me? So I would say that my fulfillment, it was just reaching that aspect in my life of getting to know myself.
I love
And once that I found those gifts, or my assets, if you would say that, being able to share them out there with the community, being able to be of help to someone. That if I was able to go through a journey or specific journey, if I'm able to help other people the same way this helped me, that is so fulfilling for me as well.
I love that. I love that response. It's a different one than I've had from other people that I've talked to on the podcast, which I love how yoga gave you that opportunity to go inward and have that self-discovery and acknowledge your assets, as you said. And then now that you've gone through that journey, you're helping other people do the same, which is so powerful. And I absolutely love that. So yoga, funny enough, is one of those modalities that I haven't dove deep into yet. And it's my intention for the year. So as much as this conversation is for the audience, I always love having conversations with them about topics that I'm interested about too, to learn
Oh,
more.
and I love that.
So what are some of like the misconceptions or myths that you think are surrounded in when it comes to yoga?
I would say the first thing that comes to mind, it's, and even though because I grew up in Mexico, so it's the religion aspect,
Mm,
right? Straight to it. A lot of people think that it's a religion, and it's not. It's just a philosophy. It's a way of living. It involves definitely your practice, your movements, your asanas. They're called asanas, but a lot of people think that they need to convert or they need to go into this Hindu religion to get into yoga. And that's the first misconception that I would say is not.
mhm.
Um, it's just a style. It's just a style. Just as if you practice, I don't know, if you're a runner, if you run a marathon, you do need to adjust your way of living so you can train, so you can take your nutrition in mind, so you can practice every day and commit to different goals so you can run a marathon. So it is the same thing with yoga. It's not only going to a class that is going to give you the whole benefits. Is just digging a little bit more and making it a lifestyle so you can grow into your practice in like inwards, or I would say on the mat and off the mat. But
Hmm.
that would be the first, that I would say that's the biggest misconception of the yoga.
I love that. You're acknowledging the religious part because I know that that's a big thing for a lot of people, even around meditation, how people think, there's that resistance because of the religious aspect. And I love how you're pointing out that it's not just going to a yoga class, like, and that's it. It's integrating it as a practice into your life. So I'd love to hear a little bit about like your journey with yoga, like how you got into this level of inspiration to teach it and facilitate and do everything that you do.
Of course. Well, I'm gonna go back a little bit actually when I was about to get married. So that was 19 years ago. And I remember I was in this big job and I was traveling a lot, going back and forth to my hometown. And I was preparing the wedding. My husband, well, my husband now, he was already living in the States. So I was planning everything by myself and still doing my work. And until I said, okay, no, this is it. I can't. If I'm gonna be moving, I need to just focus in what's important for me. And they told me, why don't you take yoga? I'm like, a yoga? A yoga class? They said, yeah, go to a yoga class and see. Like they help you, to be more mindful. And I'm like, okay, like I never tried that before. And thank goodness the teacher I got, it was back in Mexico. I think she planted the seed. It's beautiful because I see it now growing. And it was like, what's moving you? What's important in your life? Because you need to clean everything on the outer side of that and just focus on this. And
Mm.
I said, okay, it's my wedding. It's just a one. I see it like, I don't know if it's gonna be again with my parents and I'm moving to another country. So I do want to enjoy it. And I remember I quit. And for a whole month, I enjoyed my yoga practice every morning, 7:30.
Wow.
And from there, my whole day will start. And then after I moved to the States, life was going on. I got another job in the same field, more of a chemical engineering. And I was able to do some projects for the company that I was working at. I had my kids, and here comes another move. And I remember I thought I was settling in this specific place. And then they said, nope, you're going to be moving and you guys are going to be moving to Canada. And I remember it's like if they took your mat underneath and they flip you. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, like, no, I want to stay here. This is where I'm at. I have my job. I have my kids. We have a house. We just built a house. And so it was a little bit hard. And I remember we said, no, we're not. We're going to stay. But they kept going and going until they convinced us pretty much.
Mm.
And we moved to Canada. And it's funny because sometimes we overthink things, but life is taking you to where you really need to go. Now I understand this. And when we actually hold on tight and we don't want to let go, we don't want to continue that flow, it's when all things are start to go wrong. Even your body starts speaking up. You have a stomach infection or you have a sore throat or your body is not aligning to what you are supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
So we moved. And I remember I was always seeing the studio close by. I was taking my little one to the daycare and I'm like, okay, I need to go back. It's a yoga studio. But I'm like, no, it's a Zumba. I'm like, I used to do Zumba when I was in Kentucky, when I was in the States. And I'm like, okay, I need something to really, it was very hard for me. This transition, I'm saying it just that, okay, we moved, we did it, but it was a very, very tough time for myself. um I really needed to be strong for my family, for the kids, and get everyone settled. But then it was like, what about myself? And
Mhm.
then that's when I said, okay, I do need to choose something for myself.
Mhm.
And it took me around 6 months. It was a long time. But I finally stopped at the studio. And I remember I was meeting the owner. And I'm like, okay, I'm here to get information about the Zumba classes. And she's like, oh my goodness, we don't have them anymore. Our Zumba teacher just moved. And
Oh, wow.
I just lost it. I remember I was just bawling, like in tears, like I really needed a Zumba class. And I don't know how she felt about it, but she just hugged me. And she's like, but we have yoga classes and we have meditation. I know you're at the right place. So she really helped me to get into that aspect of the
Mhm.
practice, like fully going back because I had the seat already.
Mhm.
So when I joined, I said, okay, I'm gonna join. I felt I was at the right place. And it was like you're taking, like if you have the onion and you start taking those, you're peeling until I really found myself.
Mhm.
And for me, just having the yoga training or doing my certification was because I really wanted to go deep in, like
Mhm.
into what it was. I love the way I was feeling throughout my practice, but I felt that I also needed to share that around my living space at home with my kids, the
Mhm.
meditation, the breathing techniques. So that's the reason that I went deep into the training. I did it for myself. But then I found, and I think you found that yourself, that when you get your gift and when something is working for you, it's not really a gift if you don't share it with others,
Mhm.
right? And I think that is the reason you're doing your podcast too, because you want to share, you want to get it out there. So that is the reason I became a yoga teacher.
I love it. I love it. I saw this like image when you were explaining the story that like all your moves and your navigations, it was like yoga was like your magic carpet to go kind of inward for those transitions. And it's interesting to hear how from you and actually from a client of mine too, yoga has been an outlet for you to kind of go inward and have that self-discovery and make yourself a priority, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
So what does your yoga practice look like now? Because I know you're saying it's much more than a yoga class. here and there. It's about making it a practice. So what does your practice look like for inspiration for people that are trying to create their own?
Of course. So I will share with you since the moment I wake up because it starts there. I usually do a meditation in bed, and I just take the time to I concentrate on gratitude. That's my morning meditation. Sometimes I do play one from I have the Insight Timer app, which is
I
great. I
love
don't know
it.
if you ever try
Yeah,
it.
I love it. It's my favorite. Yeah.
Yes. So I love it. Otherwise, I just do it myself. I just guide it and I go through it inwards. And I love to start my day like that. So, blessing, I usually start blessing my family members and then being grateful for what I have all that day. And the third one is also protecting or
Mhm.
channeling my energy into what it's just my main focus of the day. So that's how I start my day. And then I go with my kids, we have breakfast. I usually teach. If I teach, it's in the morning. Sometimes it's around 9:30. So I get back, change, and go to the studio. If I don't teach in the morning, I do my own practice. I do it here at home, and I don't do a full hour, to be honest. If it's my own practice, I do around good 20 minutes, like I would say if whatever I'm craving, I that's another thing I learned to do is just to listen to my body. So what is my body craving? Is it really craving heart openers? I need a stretch or I need more around the hips. I know our body talks and you will feel it and you will hear it. So that's how I concentrate my practice, and I love inversions. I do usually around 15 minutes of inversions, which is handstands or headstands, and that's it. That would be my practice. But then I'm more mindful. I usually finish my practice once I'm done with just a breathing
Mhm.
technique. It could be alternating nostrils, or it could be just laying down, just hearing to my breath. I remember at the beginning, I used to play music even for myself, for my own practice. But now, to be honest, I just love to listen to my breath and just go with my own flow.
Mhm.
Um, and then that's it. You really bring that into every aspect in your life, as I was saying, because then you're more mindful about what you're eating. And then you're mindful whenever you're eating, you want to be grateful for the food that you're having. And then you think of the people that were able to get that food into your table. And just getting that morning start of the gratitude into the practice, into whatever you're doing throughout the day. Sometimes I do teach at night, especially restorative, which really grew up on me. That's a big, big practice because when I was doing my yoga teacher training,
Mhm.
I broke my toe.
Oh, wow.
That was a big adjustment. So I learned to modify a lot of the poses, and I just I wanted to share the practice and not having any limitations for whoever wanted to do the practice.
I love it.
Yeah, so restorative I usually teach at night,
Mhm.
and that's it. I think restorative is just a practice that will actually bring your mind and body and your nervous system to calm down. So
Mm.
I love that practice too. Yes.
Wow. That was such an unexpected response. I thought you were going to share, certain poses that you do and like it being you and the mat and having your moments. But I really have loved, and I think one of the biggest takeaways from this conversation of how it's breathing, it's meditation, it's mindfulness, it's much more than doing a few poses on the mat. And that really changed my perspective. So thanks for sharing that. So, if
Um,
there's any yoga newbies like myself that are wanting to get into it, like you said, it's much more than just attending a yoga class. What are some practical tips and ways that people can embody yoga and the lifestyle of yoga?
Of course. Well, first, definitely you need to start with a class. That's going to be your first way to go.
Mhm.
Um, and then you have to know what you like. So if you like action, then you're going to join maybe a vinyasa practice. A vinyasa is more like a flow that you keep going. If you're looking for something more mindful and restful, you will go for a restorative practice. But I would definitely try to encourage everyone to try at least one class. Like
Mm.
that's the way to get into the movement. And if you don't know what type of yoga you like, if you have never ever tried, try all of them. Like why not? Right now they have most of the studios, if it is around the GTA or any place, they usually have the new student pass. So new student pass is I would say like 50, $60 a month. And you can try all the classes that you want from the studio. So
Hmm.
that's going to give you a really good perspective of what are the practices that you are enjoying and maybe what are the practices that they're challenging you, because sometimes if they challenging you, it means that you need them a little bit more.
Mm.
So and then from there, if you do want to go more a little bit deeper, there's so many good readings about the yoga philosophy, or what it means a little bit more about Ayurveda, because you incorporate that part, which is the holistic nutrition medicine aspect. In It's part of the ramifications of the yoga. So
Mhm.
there's so many books. I can share some of them, the links
Please.
with you, if you want to go a little bit deeper, but at least start with the practice. That's what's gonna make a difference, even the way you feel after the practice, because even if it is just one, you go through all the aspects. You go through the meditation, through the mindfulness, through the breathing, through the poses, and back into your grounding. So
I love that.
definitely
Thank you
enjoy.
for those tips. I guess like the biggest thing that I'm understanding, it's like do a taster menu, try all the different things to find what type of yoga works best for you, which is great. And since you're a teacher, do you want to share a little bit about where they can take classes from you, where they can connect with you to learn more about the yoga that you teach and the coaching that you provide?
Of course. Yes. So I have my Instagram account, which is Yoga Argie, and you'll see my website there and all the links to where I teach. I do privates.
Mhm.
We do actually online challenges, so that is for yogis all around the world. The beauty, we create a hashtag, we do a post every day, and we keep you accountable for it. So that's the online. If it is in person, I do teach here in Bolton, which is it's called Be For You. And I do teach for another studio, which is Blossom. Blossom, it's a mix between online and certifications. So they have plenty of meditation certifications, life coaching, and of course, the yoga teacher training.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us. We're definitely going to leave a link to her Instagram and her website and the books and the resources in the show notes or here on YouTube in the description so that you can connect with her and learn more about yoga and all the beautiful things that she does for the world. So thanks again, Argie.
Thank you, Cassandra. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing this with others, because, as I said, it's not really the gift until you share with others. So thank you for doing this podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I'll upload a new video on Thursday. See you in the next one. Bye.